When Sony kindly sent me a copy of Death Stranding 2 on the beach to try, I was obviously keen to see what updates there may have been to the game's photo mode. After an earlier reveal of an instant camera feature which sees Fragile and friends posing naturally for some Polaroid style shots, it was only natural to hope that the main photo mode might also have been upgraded with similarly clever features.
That's a nice photo.
That's not really the case though. The UI is pretty much the same, aside from a fancy flourish as the text appears, and the majority of the features remain entirely unchanged. This does include the wonderfully huge zoom lens, a nice autofocus and aperture setup, as well as effects like exposure, contrast, center noise and lens distortions that do all do a good job. Crucially though, the camera itself hasn't changed either, and it's still an awkward orbit camera with a major aversion to terrain collision. Getting the right composition can be frustrating then, but there are some new things that might put more of a smile on the face of in-game photographers. Let's get straight to the most important new feature of Death Stranding 2's photo mode then. It now has a full suite of custom lights. Up to 3 lights can be placed around Sam to set up your shot, each with adjustable intensity, spread and softness of the beam. They can be set to any colour too, in fact every light is bright red by default. That makes it easy to identify at least, though you've got to manually desaturate every time to get it to play white. The lighting UI is also an interesting one, with a ring around the character that shows the distance and the orbit that the light will take, while a cone of emanating circles depict its shine path. That's needed actually because the lights are helpfully directional, so they can be aimed at any angle, although quite why those circles have to flash constantly and obscure the actual effect, I do not know. This is a deliberately vague one because it doesn't cover just one thing. There's actually several, and all of them already existed in the previous photo mode, only now there's more of them. A few extra colour filters take their number to 17, while more than 24 frames include new designs such as lots of likes and a mock-up of social media posts, as well as some location-specific ones to unlock. It's nice to see that the movie poster overlay has been refreshed too, and there's a lot more logos to choose from, once again with customizable colour and position. Character posing options also retain that great ability to tilt Sam's head and body around, or to automatically face towards the camera. These apply to the majority of the preset poses, and, you guessed it, there's now even more of them. Given the right circumstances, Lou and Dollman, himself an entertaining addition to the game, get a wide selection of poses and facial expressions of their own. The only thing really missing is an option to rotate the characters on the spot or reposition them slightly. That would be the finishing touch here. I know I said that the UI is the same, and it mostly is, but some of the tabs have been moved around to change the workflow a little. Whether you find this a help or a hindrance will probably come down to personal preference, or indeed the type of shot that you're working on at the time. The camera and lens options are now on the second tab for example, not the first, but do better lead into the closely related brightness, filter and lens effects tabs. If you plan on posing characters before working on the composition though, you will have to cycle through the UI just to do that. Elsewhere on the UI you might notice a button legend including a camera icon that tells you to use the cross button to take a photo.
I suppose even a porter has to pull the trigger from time to time.
With the DualSense controller already having a dedicated button for this, it may seem unnecessary, but this one is pretty cool. Shots saved with this new button press are not only saved to the console storage, but are added to the in-game map as well. To view these save shots and the locations where they were taken, just head to the Ring terminal and choose Social Strand Service where you can find them in a gallery. I'd actually be surprised if we didn't see a future update making this even more interactive, with the ability to see friends' posts on there as well.
Please relax and enjoy your stay.
Another use for those shots captured using the X button is that they become available to use when customizing your private room. Apart from the one on the DHV Magellan, this applies to all private rooms at the various in-world facilities, which now sport full wall displays ready for your decoration. Simply look towards the main wall in front of or behind Sam and hit triangle to customize. Any of your social strand service shots, along with a few default options, can then be selected, scaled and repositioned as a wallpaper that wraps around the room. Technically, this feature was already in the first game as a more basic option, but the functionality is now much improved. Upon exiting the photo mode, a confirmation pop-up will ask if you'd like to save the current settings. Doing so will ensure that all options, including filters, aspect ratio and custom lights, will be just as you left them the next time you enter the photo mode. This is obviously ideal for a series of similarly styled shots, or just for setting up your preferred baseline values, at least until the game's rebooted. Having that choice on whether to save the settings each time means you can also try a totally different setup and still revert back to your previous one just by pressing no.
Why don't you choose?
So finally, onto the feature that generated so much interest before the game arrived. It looks amazing at first glance, but dare I say, it's actually a bit of a disappointment.
That looks like a lovely picture. But I see someone blinked.
The instant camera isn't available right from the start. You'll have to progress quite far into the game to get it. Only after completing main order 29 at the end of chapter 7 will you receive the camera as a gift from the mechanic. From then on, the camera, which is a retro vision in orange, can be used from your private room on board the DHV Magellan, much to the delight of Fragile, Rainy and Tomorrow, who will gladly pose in any of the 5 fixed locations around the ship. Head to the bridge and other crew members will join in too. Fantastically motion captured though these are, the sequences turn out to be a bit shallow and repeat without any real potential for organic variation. I do love the idea of this character interaction, but this is very much a clever novelty than anything that's actually useful.
I love it.
You don't even get a saved copy of the instant photos, not that I've found anyway.
Alright, later.
So that's all of the new photography features in Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Thank you as always for watching, and please do remember to subscribe to the channel for more virtual photography content.